All right, so I had to talk to y'all again before I go to work. I haven't even drunk any coffee yet or nothing, but it's some things we have to talk about. So let's get to it. All right, so I did my presidential debate recap last night right after the debate. I didn't watch any post debate coverage, so I didn't see anything that the media was saying. So after I recorded my live, I started watching a little bit of coverage, watched some coverage this morning, and a few things is sticking out. One, everybody agrees that this debate was a mess. I think anybody that's objective could see that Trump was ignorant, belligerent, and just outright lying. Every other word that comes out of Trump's mouth is a lie. But for me, I'm not in shock like some people are. And to give some of the mainstream media credit, like David Axelrod, Obama's former chief advisor, said that this is who Trump been the whole time. And I agree. For those people that surprised at how the debate went, I don't know why. Trump have shown this side of himself um, ever since he been in the political spotlight. I mean, he first came into the political spotlight when he started talking about birtherism. Before that, I knew who Donald Trump was, but I really didn't pay attention to him. I knew he had The Apprentice, but I didn't watch it. So for me, although I knew who he was, I didn't really start looking into his background until he started talking about Barack Obama and him not being born in America. So I know him just from straight racism, that birtherism, that was straight racist. So when Trump is asked a question about race and he asked a question about the Clown Boys, the Proud Boys, a white supremacist group, and and he doesn't condemn them. He tells them basically to stand by just in case something happens. It's not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me at all. Did people forget about Charlottesville when he said it was good people on both sides? Did people forget in 2016 when he was running, he pretended like he didn't know who David Duke was and wouldn't condemn David freaking Duke? And it was a straight up lie. He didn't know who he was because he's recorded 10 years earlier mentioning David Duke. So he knew who he was. He just didn't want to condemn him. Why? Because white supremacists love him. I'm sure I don't get a lot of views anyway, but like I'm sure the views I get, some of them is going to be Trump supporters. They're going to come in here, say a whole bunch of clownish shit, thumbs down the video or whatever. But that's okay. But that's the reason he doesn't want to condemn. Well, I should say part of the reason he doesn't want to condemn these white supremacist groups. Another reason is that I have said this before. If you've been watching this channel, you wouldn't have been surprised about this. Donald Trump have a 4-decade history of white supremacy. I mean, you can go back to the late 70s with him and his father with the housing discrimination cases from the federal government. How him and his father didn't want to rent out units to Black people. I mean, that's documented. You could go to the Central Park Five. You could go from his employees suing for racial discrimination. You can go to birtherism. Like I said, that was just a straight racist theory. You could go to David Duke, like I just mentioned earlier. You could go to Charlottesville. You can go to the dog whistles, like the Law and Order president. We all know what that meant. So nothing about this should be surprising. And I wasn't even going to make this video this morning, but I was watching CNN, right? And one of the commentators mentioned something, that I just had to respond to. One of the commentators said, "Yeah, Ronald Reagan brought up Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan denounced the KKK when he was asked about it." Well, okay, that may be true, but don't leave out the other part of the story, right? Trump is terrible. Trump is a white supremacist. I don't care what nobody says. Like I said, just look at his history. So that's what it is. But don't act like Ronald Reagan was a beacon of justice and he didn't have basically the same views. Ronald Reagan announced his presidential campaign in Philadelphia, Mississippi, the same place where those three civil rights workers was murdered. I mean, so yes, Ronald Reagan may have denounced the KKK, but don't use him as an example. If you want to use him as an example of, okay, he denounced the KKK when asked just for being smarter and know how to do better dog whistles than Trump, okay, fine. But don't leave out the rest of the story. It's just too much of that. It's too much revisionist history. It's too much of putting people on pedestals that don't need to be there. Ronald Reagan was a white supremacist too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not one of those people that call everybody I disagree with white supremacists. Um, I don't like. I think George W. Bush was a bad president, but I wouldn't consider him a white supremacist. So I don't throw out that word to everybody I disagree with it just because it's not fair and then loses meaning. But it applies with some people, actually a lot of people. Donald Trump, it applies. Ronald Reagan, it applies. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way early in the morning. Maybe I should use different phrase of words because it's so early, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, don't leave out that story. Don't just say Ronald Reagan condemned the KKK without telling the full story of his history of racism as well and his use of the Southern strategy. He fully used the Southern strategy after Nixon. So don't hold up Ronald Reagan like that. I was kind of disgusted by that. So that's the main reason I just wanted to make this video today. Also, I'm just not surprised by almost nothing that's going on. I think I have a little bit of a different experience than a lot of people. And from time to time, I need to start telling more of these stories, right? I'm not going to get too into it because I have to go to work, but I dealt with Trump supporters before there was Trump supporters, if that makes sense to you. Basically, before Trump became a big political figure and he was just more of the reality TV guy. I was in the Air Force. I had to work with people that never had to deal with Black people before, that had racist views. So I had to interact with a lot of white supremacists. It is what it is. And to be clear, I'm not saying everybody in the Air Force is white supremacist, not at all. But, just like in all, the military takes people from all over the country. And yes, that includes people that have certain racial views. So we used to have these full out discussions. I worked with Confederate flag waving white supremacists. They wouldn't outright say they was white supremacists, but when you talk to them, like, oh yeah, with certain views, oh yeah, that's their model, and some of them was just outright with it, that's how it worked. So I'm not surprised. Nothing that's coming out now with what Trump's saying and what his supporters are saying is new to me. I didn't heard the very same stuff over a decade ago. Like, actually, it's 2020 now. I heard the very same stuff about 15, 16 years ago, so it's just not surprising to me. Is it disturbing? Do I like it? No, I don't like it, but I'm not shocked. Where I come out on it is, we just have to work on our goals. We have to get organized and we just got to do what we can not just to combat it, but just to be on offense with our goals. And I'll end it there, y'all. Peace.